Good afternoon, welcome to Midday Prime. I'm Amritpal Singh. Over the next 1 hour, we bring you all the stories and updates from India and around the world. We'll also update you about the happenings in the world of business and sports and get you some interesting stories that are making the headlines. But first up, the big news of this hour. Centre takes stock of the situation in view of emergence of new variant Omicron. Health Secretary chairs a meeting of stakeholders. Government stresses against lowering the guard, advises states to ramp up testing for early identification and early management. Centre draws up contingency plans, underlines the need to maintain infrastructure supply of essential drugs. Har Ghar Dastak campaign to be continued till the 31st of December. Health Minister ensures that Centre will take all measures to fight the virus, says the government fully prepared for any eventuality. Parliament ruckus continues on the second day of the winter session. Both the houses face uproar by opposition members. Lok Sabha Speaker takes a strong objection to the conduct of the members. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu refuses to withdraw the suspension of opposition members. Omicron scare spreads far and wide. Poland joins the list of nations imposing bans on incoming foreign nationals from countries at risk. WHO says Omicron COVID variant poses very high global risk. US President tries to soothe nerves, says the new variant is a cause of concern and not a cause for panic. At the strike of midnight local time, a new republic is born. Cheer to cheer, hundreds in Bridgetown as Barbados sheds the last vestiges of colonialism and becomes a republic, removes Britain's Queen Elizabeth as the head of state. Queen Elizabeth's royal standard lowered in presence of Prince Charles. European, Iranian and Russian diplomats sound upbeat as Iran and world powers hold their first talks in 5 months in Vienna on Monday to try to save their 2015 nuclear deal. The meeting in Vienna ends a long hiatus triggered by election in June of Ebrahim Raisi and the anti-Western hardliner. So those were the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Now let's begin with the big news of the hour. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan held a review meeting with states today regarding the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. Let's take a look at the key points that have emerged from the meeting. The centre has reiterated that the nation can't let its guard down at this crucial moment. The focus should remain on timely testing and early identification of infected persons. The centre has stressed on ensuring adequate health infrastructure to be ready for Omicron challenge. Another point that was stressed was that home isolation can be supervised properly to avoid any lapses. The centre has underlined the need to maintain the infrastructure supply for essential drugs. Har Ghar Dastak campaign to be continued to the 31st of December. It will focus on 100% first dose and completing backlog of second dose vaccination. It's now clear that the Omicron variant does not escape RT-PCR and RAT. Centre has advised the states to ramp up testing for early identification of positive cases and early management. Speaking on the issue in the Rajya Sabha, Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Mansukh Mandavia said that the government is seized of the matter and every possible effort is being done to keep the nation safe and secure.
ओमिक्रॉन वेरिएंट अभी दुनिया के 14 कंट्री में पाया गया है और यहाँ उसका अभ्यास हो रहा है। इंडिया में अभी उसका कोई केस रिपोर्ट नहीं हुआ है, लेकिन दुनिया में जिस तरह से इस वायरस के संदर्भ में हमें सूचना मिली उसको देखते हुए एक एडवाइजरी भी डिक्लेयर की गई है। पोर्ट पर हमने भी देखरेख रखना शुरू कर दिया है। कोई भी ऐसे संदिग्ध केस है तो उसको तुरंत ही चेक करके उसको जीनोमिक सीक्वेंसेस भी करा रहे हैं और आज के दिन में सारे प्रिकॉशन जो लेने की आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि कोविड क्राइसिस के दरमियान हमने बहुत कुछ सीखा है आज हमारे पास बहुत कुछ संसाधन भी अवेलेबल है, सारी लेबोरेटरी भी अवेलेबल है, कोई भी कैसी भी स्थिति को हम देख सकते हैं।
And in Uttarakhand, precautionary steps are being taken in view of the new variant of the virus. As a precaution, 14 people of Dehradun have been kept in home isolation for 14 days after returning from outside the country. Their samples have been sent for testing. Out of 14, 6 have returned from South Africa. Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami said that a review meeting was held regarding the new variant and the decision was taken regarding the testing of the samples.
जिस प्रकार से नया वेरिएंट आया है उसको लेकर हम लोगों ने पूरी यहाँ पर बैठक कर ली है और उसकी शुरुआत हम लोग सबसे पहले जो कोविड वॉरियर्स हैं उनकी सबकी RT-PCR करवाएंगे, उनकी सबकी जांच करवाएंगे और साथ में सभी जिलाधिकारियों को, शासन के सभी आला अधिकारियों को, सभी को कह दिया गया है कि इसमें जो है कोई कोताही बरतने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। हमने एयरपोर्ट, हमारे रेलवे स्टेशन, इन स्थानों पर भी हम रैंडम करवाएंगे और एक हफ्ते के बाद हम फिर से समीक्षा करेंगे। कहीं पर भी किसी प्रकार की भी जान माल के साथ कोई भी खिलवाड़ न हो, उसके लिए जो जरूरी इंतजाम है वो सारे किए जा रहे हैं। हमारे लिए सबसे पहली प्राथमिकता है लोगों की सुरक्षा करना, उसके लिए हमारी सरकार पूरी तरह से संकल्पबद्ध है।
Meanwhile, with the emergence of the new COVID-19 variant, Omicron, COVID-19 Task Force Chairman and Dr. N.K. Arora has said that a comprehensive policy on the booster and additional doses of COVID-19 vaccine will be announced in 2 weeks.
We have developed a comprehensive plan for immunizing our 44 crore children below the age of 18 years. There also a prioritization process is being built so that children with comorbidities will be given priority and then followed by healthy children. And this also will be made public very soon. And we have a very healthy pipeline for pediatric population. Zycov-D is there, Covaxin is there, Corbevax is there, Covovax is there. So, and then mRNA vaccine would also be available. So we have 4 or 5 vaccines for children.
All right, let's right now go across to the Rajya Sabha where Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal is speaking in the House.
विपक्ष के पास नंबर्स हैं या सत्तारूढ़ दल के और हमारे सहयोगी दलों के पास पूर्ण बहुमत नहीं है या बहुमत नहीं है राज्यसभा में, तो ये पूरी तरीके से उस दिन निरस्त हो गया। और ये कई ऐसे मौके आए हैं जिसमें विपक्ष को डिवीजन में अपनी सही ताकत का अंदाजा इस सदन ने दिया है। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, आज ही मैं देख रहा था बाहर किसी माननीय सदस्य ने,
मेरा आग्रह होगा बाहर की बात अब अंदर।
नहीं सर, मैं स्पष्टीकरण इससे कर रहा हूं क्योंकि माननीय लीडर ऑफ द ऑपोजिशन ने ऐसे आरोप लगाए। चलिए मैं बाहर की बात नहीं कहता हूं, पर कई बार कई सदस्य कहते हैं कि हम इसलिए सस्पेंड कर रहे हैं 12 सदस्यों को क्योंकि हमारे पास संख्या नहीं है। तो सबके सब विपक्ष के माननीय सदस्यों को मैं आमंत्रण देता हूं, आप आइए। जिस विषय पे अभी डैम सेफ्टी बिल बातचीत होने वाली है, आज करना हो, कल करना हो, परसों करना हो, जब आप चाहें आप डिवीजन मांगिए और डिवीजन करके देख लेते हैं। सबको ध्यान में आ जाएगा, पूरा देश देख लेगा क्या परिस्थिति है, किसके पास पूरा बहुमत है, किसके साथ सदन खड़ा है और सच्चाई के साथ ये सदन खड़ा है और पूरी सच्चाई देश के सामने स्वयं विपक्ष के कुछ साथियों ने देश के समक्ष रखी। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, 11 तारीख की घटनाओं में आपका ध्यान आकर्षित करना चाहूंगा। आपको ध्यान है 11 तारीख को आखिरी दिन था सेशन का, हम सब यहाँ असेंबल्ड थे, पर शुरुआत से ही कुछ माननीय सदस्यों ने बहुत ही खराब तरीके से यहाँ पे व्यवहार किया। कोई सदस्य लेडी मार्शल्स को अटैक कर रहे हैं और कोई सदस्य एक मेल मार्शल की गले को पीछे से ऐसे लिटरली वांटिंग टू स्ट्रैंगुलेट हिम। और वो तो भगवान की कृपा है कि हमारे मार्शल्स भी तटस्थ खड़े रहे, नहीं तो सिक्योरिटी कॉर्डन अगर टूट जाता तो मुझे तो चिंता है चेयर का क्या होता, किस प्रकार से चेयर के ऊपर घातक हमला हो सकता था। लेडी मार्शल्स को हमला करना, उनको खींच के कॉर्डन तोड़ने की कोशिश करना, मेल मार्शल के गले को पकड़ के उनको स्ट्रैंगुलेट करने की कोशिश करना। कोई माननीय सदस्य आपके लेफ्ट में जो टेबल है उस पर चढ़ के एलईडी स्क्रीन तोड़ने की कोशिश कर रहा था। दो माननीय सदस्य यहाँ पे एक सदस्य दूसरे सदस्य के गले में पट्टा बांध के और यहाँ घूम रहे हैं। मतलब वो एक्चुअली कॉटन की रोप थी, देख के डर लगता था, खास तौर पे क्योंकि जब वो दूसरी सदस्य एक बार यहाँ अनकॉन्शियस हो चुकी थी और यहाँ पे ऐसा प्रदर्शन करना इस उच्च सदन में क्या गरिमा रहेगी इस सदन की और क्या हमारे माननीय विपक्ष के सदस्यों की गरिमा देश ने उस दिन देखी कि न्यूज बना के यहाँ पे घुमाना। माननीय प्रहलाद जोशी जी पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर और मैं हम बाहर आ रहे थे तो हमें आने नहीं दिया आपके चेंबर से हमारी कुर्सियों तक। कुछ माननीय सदस्यों ने दूसरे सदस्य को कॉर्डन की तरफ फेंका, एकदम ढकेला, फिर उनको खींच के बाहर निकाला। 4-5 सदस्यों ने पेपर्स और फाइल्स फाड़ फूड़ के चेयर के ऊपर टेबल ऑफिस पे फेंकने का काम किया। ये जिस प्रकार की घिनौनी हरकतें, विस्लिंग, हूटिंग, कोई माननीय सदस्य अपनी बात रखना चाह रहे तो प्लेकार्ड से उसको ब्लॉक करना। कोई 2 सदस्य यहाँ पे वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग ले रहे थे और वो वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग बाहर जाके यूट्यूब पे दिखा रहे हैं। पर ये सब चीजों को देखते हुए संयम जब पूरी हद के पार हो गई और माननीय चेयर की जो पीड़ा हमने उस दिन देखी तो हमने डिमांड किया कि एक कमेटी बनाई जाए। कमेटी सब जांच करके इसका सबसे उनकी भी वर्जन ले सकती थी, पूरे कार्रवाई सदन की देख सकती थी मॉनसून सेशन की और तय कर सकती थी किस पे एक्शन लेना, किस पे आगे कैसे सदन अच्छी तरीके से नियंत्रण में चले, ये चिंता कर सकती थी। लेकिन माननीय चेयर के हर प्रयत्न के बावजूद कई विपक्ष के दलों ने रिफ्यूज कर दिया कि हम इस कमेटी के पार्ट नहीं बनेंगे। ऐसी परिस्थिति में 11 तारीख आखिरी तारीख थी मॉनसून सेशन की, तो स्वाभाविक था कि अर्लीस्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी कल थी, जो पहला दिन था नए इस हाउस का। और जैसा माननीय चेयर ने कहा, हाउस इज अ कंटिन्यूइंग इंस्टीट्यूशन और हाउस में इस प्रकार की गिरोनी हरकत करना और फिर कहना कि अब वो तो सेशन खत्म हो गया, अब कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हो सकती, ये तो मेरे ख्याल से ना न्यायिक है और ना इस सदन की गरिमा देश के सामने बढ़ाएगा। इसलिए हमने आपसे दरख्वास्त की थी कि इस कार्रवाई इनके जो हरकतें थी इसको ध्यान में दिया जाए और उन मेंबर्स जिन्होंने 11 अगस्त को ये सब हरकत की थी, क्योंकि वो आखिरी दिन की हरकत थी, तो नया जब कन्वीन हुआ सेशन पहले दिन ही हमने ये एक्शन लेने का प्रस्ताव रखा और ये प्रस्ताव इस सदन में पारित किया। सदन का निर्णय है कि 12 एमपी जाए, लेकिन मैं ये भी कहना चाहूंगा माननीय अध्यक्ष जी कि ये पूरा सदन चाहता है कि सब हमारे माननीय सदस्य भाई बहन आए, सदन की कार्रवाई अच्छी तरीके से चले, वो माफी मांगे जो।
So that was Leader of the House in Rajya Sabha, Piyush Goyal, speaking about the ruckus that was created in the House regarding suspension of 12 MPs by the chairman of the upper house for the pandemonium and ruckus that they created in the last day, on the last day of the monsoon session. The Leader of the House expressing a sentiment that you know, the House is a continuing institution and action should have been detailed what happened, what transpired on the last day of the monsoon session, and how why the chair took the decision for suspension of these 12 MPs, because of which the parliament is witnessing a pandemonium. Well, going back to our previous story on the Omicron and the steps the country is taking, I'm joined by my colleague Arun Sharma from the newsroom. Arun, you know, it's being said that it's not time to lower the guard. It's time to gear up for any kind of eventuality. What is the government? What is the government doing in terms of taking steps towards you know, dealing with the situation?
Absolutely, Amrit. I couldn't listen to the first part of your question, but yes, the point is that if you compare 2020 to 2021, we have two important things. One is experience, and second is vaccine. Majority of all the countries have experienced the kind of intensity that the virus was having on those countries primarily. So how to what response should be there primarily to counter the COVID or the mutations of the COVID virus primarily? So India is also one of those countries that has gained the experience in terms of health infrastructure. What should be the response as far as COVID-19 is concerned, or any kind of mutations of COVID. And of course, the fact is that now we have vaccines in place. So when this review meeting was held today, the big takeaways, we know this fact that now government is focusing upon the fact that how can vaccination coverage be increased, and that's the reason an initiative known as Har Ghar Dastak, that was started earlier. So to primarily ensure that via Har Ghar Dastak, vaccination coverage can be increased. There are states like Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand for that matter, Goa for that matter, some of the northeastern states in India. 100% vaccination coverage has been achieved as far as the first dosage is concerned. But how can you amplify, or primarily how can you increase this second dosage coverage as well in the states of our country? That, of course, is the focus of the government. Second, there were apprehensions that will the RT-PCR test or the rapid antigen test, will it be in a position to detect the virus primarily, the Omicron virus primarily? So government clearly mentions this point that via RT-PCR or the rapid antigen test or the RAT primarily, the detection of Omicron can be done. Now, of course, an interesting angle is also that the South African medical authorities primarily, what they are saying as of now, that this virus, that means the Omicron, this is causing a lot of fatigue in the people, all those who are infected with this Omicron, but hospitalization, the number of people who are getting hospitalized is very much low. But yes, the symptoms like fever and of course fatigue is something that is very much prominent. So of course India is also in constant touch with the South African authorities as well as to what is their health response, and there is a coordinated effort as of now, coordinated response as of now. But in that context, India has geared up its infrastructure facilities in last 1.5 years or so as far as COVID-19 is concerned. As far as oxygen plants are concerned, in every district of our country will be having one big oxygen plant, so there is no lack of oxygen. Healthcare infrastructure has been ramped up, and testing facilities has been increased. That's what the government is also focusing upon, because testing at right time, detecting on right time, and reporting the virus, and of course that's primarily is going to be very much significant as far as detection and testing. So that's the reason ramping up the testing facilities is a key area, and that's what the government is also focusing upon as of now.
Arun, given the fact that even the South Africans are saying, the WHO is saying, that look, the data on the Omicron variant is very, very low to come to any conclusive finding. If you look at what the WHO said, it looks more transmissible given the numbers, but we don't know if it's as virulent, if it's as, will it make us sicker? So when the government says, but it also talked about it possibly evading PCR tests. Some S gene failure was what they based it on. So what is the government of India stand on that? As in, the government is now saying, as you said, that the PCR and RAT tests do detect that, it does not evade that. On what basis is the government of India saying that?
So, what we have as of now, that means World Health Organization, it completely endorsing this idea of having more and more RT-PCR and RAT tests. That's number one. Most of the European countries, even the African countries, they are going ahead with the RT-PCR and the RAT test. Number third point, even the South African or the African countries primarily are going ahead with the PCR test or the RAT test. They're of course focusing more on the PCR test as of now. Now, if you look at it this way, Amrit, even during the Delta, when Delta virus, when it did hit India, we were getting more and more negative result, or the false result that we were witnessing. So even in the case of Delta virus, that hit our country, India, and most of the countries primarily, even Delta variant, you can say that it was giving the false report or the negative report. But ultimately, the PCR test is the most prominent test that is being conducted. The South African authorities or the African countries are also relying on the PCR or the RAT test. Now, if in case the World Health Organization, their technical committee is there, if in case they endorse some new test or changing in the methodology of the PCR test, primarily what we call it as RT-PCR test in India, at that point in time, the changing methodology will be changed. But yes, you're right. There are certain reports that the S protein that was being skipped in some of the tests. But this we have seen in various kind of variants, be it Delta variant or be it other variant. There were false reports, the negative reports earlier as well. But yes, the crucial and the prominent part is that the World Health Organization is completely endorsing on the PCR test. So testing should be increased. That's what the government is saying. That as of now, the India stance is very much clear to increase the testing capacities, to do more and more testing, to do reporting as well of the testing. If in case somebody is found of the new variant or the COVID variant, that should be reported. And last but not the least, the idea is that the genome sequencing should be done, and which the government and the authorities are primarily doing. And based on that, the data will be available, and the character and the behavior of the virus Omicron will be known then only. Because as of now, you rightly mentioned this point, the data is too little as of now, as compared to Delta variant or the prior variants. The data is too much less as of now to decide as to what is the behavior and the character of this Omicron virus. But yes, as of now, the guards are high. Everybody is on the front foot as far as that. Of course, taking all the precautionary measures. That means social distancing, masking yourself. So these are some of the COVID appropriate behavior that everybody is endorsing as of now.
Arun, the health minister, speaking in the House today, says that we have the experience. We've built infrastructure, so we have our laboratories in place, we can do more testing, so we wouldn't be caught off guard. You say vaccination, yes, we've achieved milestone marks of vaccination, but now, it's being talked about that booster dose is internationally, that booster dose perhaps is required because it may possibly be able to evade the existing vaccines in the market. So for a country like ours, where you have a huge population to vaccinate still for the second dosage, though your rate of vaccination is appreciable, but there still remain a lot of people who need to be vaccinated. So what would be the government's sort of policy to go about booster dose, about vaccinating children? Though N.K. Arora was saying in 2 weeks from now will be clear what our policy would be, but if you could give us a sense of that.
See, let's break this question. Now, internationally, Amrit, various pharmaceutical companies, they have announced this fact that they are now working on the new vaccines primarily, be it Pfizer. Pfizer says that we'll be soon taking a decision as to whether we are going ahead with creating new vaccine based on Omicron. Pfizer has announced this, AstraZeneca is saying so, even Johnson & Johnson is saying so. So yes, internationally, the pharmaceutical infrastructure, the pharmaceutical companies are gearing up that if in case they need to do research and development, they need to develop a new vaccine, they'll be in front foot. And of course, they also have experience to develop a vaccine because on the basis of COVID. Number two, when we talk about country like India, the vaccination rate is very much high. I mean, we are close to 125 crore vaccines, so that's really a big milestone. There are various states in our country, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, some of the northeastern states. They have achieved 100% vaccination as far as first dosage is concerned, and as far as second dose is concerned, more than 50 to 60% people have been vaccinated. So that's a good sign. And of course, the vaccination is something that is the key. But yes, whether the booster dose will be given, what is the significance of the booster dose? Because in India, we have witnessed this Delta variant. And if you look at it this way, statistically also, wherever we have seen high number of COVID cases, be it country like Italy for that matter, wherever we have seen high number of COVID cases in particular country, the second impact is not as high as it was witnessed in other countries. So if in case we have already witnessed a very high spike during the Delta variant, but it did hit country like India. So on one side we have experience, Number two, immunity is something we should rely on that, the natural immunity.
Yes.
And last but not the least, it's government stance, government's technical committees, and of course, along with the World Health Organization, this will be decided. If in case a booster dose is required, that will be given. As of now, yes, there are certain countries that are going ahead in a direction to give booster dose to its citizens. So looking at the vaccine in India, like Covishield, Covaxin, Sputnik, of course, Zycov-D is also coming up with its vaccine. So yes, whether to give a booster shot or not,
That's a policy decision the government is yet to take.
That is in favor of it. Yeah.
All right. Arun, we'll leave it there. Many thanks for joining us and putting the story in perspective. Thank you. And let's now move on to our developing story. Well, staying on with news about Omicron, the world is witnessing another surge due to the new COVID variant, which is called Omicron. WHO said that the virus poses a very high global risk of infection surges that could have severe consequences in some area. The UN chief has expressed deep concern about the isolation of South African countries after COVID-19 travel restrictions. The G7 health ministers held an urgent meeting to discuss the developments with regard to concerns related to the Omicron variant. More in this report.
The Omicron variant has brought about new resurgence of COVID-19 cases across the globe, sparking global alarm with countries rushing to impose travel restrictions. Omicron coronavirus variant is likely to spread internationally, posing a very high global risk of infection surges that could have severe consequences in some areas. As per the World Health Organization, it urged its 194 member countries to accelerate vaccination of high priority groups and in anticipation of increased numbers to ensure mitigation plans are in place to maintain essential health services.
The emergence of the highly mutated Omicron variant underlines just how perilous and precarious our situation is. We shouldn't need another wake-up call. We should all be wide awake to the threat of this virus.
The G7 health ministers held an urgent meeting to discuss developments with regard to concerns related to the Omicron variant. G7 ministers praised the exemplary work of South Africa in both detecting the variant and alerting others to it. There was strong support to set up an international pathogen surveillance network with the framework of the World Health Organization. Ministers also recognized the strategic relevance of ensuring access to vaccines, including search for vaccine absorption and country readiness for receiving and deploying COVID vaccines. They indicated that in the coming weeks, ministers committed to continue to work closely together with WHO and international partners to share information and monitor Omicron. US President Joe Biden reassured that the United States was prepared to handle the new COVID-19 Omicron variant. He added that a new detailed strategy will be put forward by Thursday with more widespread vaccinations and testing. President Biden also said that the White House is working with vaccine makers Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson to develop contingency plans to handle the new strain.
First, this variant is a cause for concern, not a cause for panic. Data vaccinations or boosters are needed to respond to this new variant. We will accelerate their development and deployment with every available tool. I want to reiterate, Dr. Fauci believes that the current vaccines provide at least some protection against the new variant, and the boosters strengthen that protection significantly.
Britain will also offer a COVID-19 booster shot to all adults in a bid to accelerate its vaccination program amid concern over the new Omicron coronavirus variant. Face coverings will be compulsory in shops and on public transport in England. Health Minister Sajid Javid said that Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunization will review the booster program to reduce the gap between second doses and boosters. Australia delayed the reopening of its international borders less than 36 hours before international students and skilled migrants were due to be allowed to re-enter the country.
We've announced measures to slow the spread of the virus here in the UK. We're making changes to our rules on self-isolation for close contacts in England to reflect the greater threat that may be posed by this new variant. So close contacts of anyone who tests positive with a suspected case of Omicron must self-isolate for 10 days, regardless of whether they have been vaccinated or not.
We will put a pause on the next phase of international arrivals, which would have commenced on the 1st of December. In particular, those arrivals with regards to the students and working visas and other related categories, which were going to commence on the 1st of December, will now commence on the 15th of December.
European nations are also facing a massive surge in cases. France records a big jump in COVID cases after the health minister said the country had entered the 5th wave of the pandemic last week. Sweden, Canada and Spain reported their first case linked to the Omicron variant. Omicron variant has prompted governments to impose travel curbs for African nations. Ghana and Norway has announced new restrictions on travel along with Argentina and Chile, following multiple precautionary measures. Poland has also planned to ban flights to 7 African countries and extend quarantines for some travelers. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that he was deeply concerned about the isolation of southern African countries after COVID-19 travel restrictions were imposed by several countries over the new Omicron variant of the coronavirus. The emergence of the new variant has once again put the spotlight back on COVID-appropriate behavior and is critical for breaking the chain of transmission. Bureau Report, DD India.
And now moving on to our National Prime segment. Well, let's look at what's transpiring in the Parliament today. That's day 2 of the winter session. The Lok Sabha met in the morning. It was adjourned till 2 p.m. as soon as it convened because of the opposition's ruckus. At 2 p.m. the ruckus continued and the House was again adjourned till 3 p.m. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla took strong objection to the conduct of the opposition members. The upper house...
कई बार इश्यू उठाते हैं, सदन में चर्चा नहीं करना चाहते हैं, ये उचित नहीं है। मैंने सभी माननीय सदस्यों को कहा है कि प्रश्नकाल के अंदर ये प्रश्नकाल माननीय सदस्यों का है, उनको पर्याप्त समय पर्याप्त अवसर मिलता है चर्चा संवाद करने का। माननीय सदस्य अगर प्रश्नकाल के अंदर हंगामा करेंगे तो कैसा सकारात्मक माहौल जाएगा, ये उचित नहीं है। अच्छे वातावरण को बनाए। आपकी मैंने किसी बात को नहीं माना है तो आप बेल में आइए, उसके पहले बेल में आना कहाँ तर्क है, ये तर्क उचित नहीं है।
The upper house too witnessed uproarious scenes after Rajya Sabha Chairman Venkaiah Naidu refused to consider Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge's appeal to revoke the suspension of 12 MPs. Naidu said that the House is empowered to take such a decision under sections 256 and 259. Naidu said that since the members have not expressed remorse over their behavior, he refuses to consider their appeal.
The Rajya Sabha is a continuing institution, and the chairman of the House of the Rajya Sabha is empowered 256, 259, 266, even other residuary powers also. Chairman can take action and also the House can take action. What happened yesterday is not chairman taking action. It is the House after a resolution moved that has taken action. You try to mislead the House, you disturb the House, you ransack the table and you also throw your papers on the chair and also you have got, some of them have gone onto the table and then you are giving me lessons. So this is not the way. The motion was moved, it was approved, action is taken, it is final.
Opposition parties such as the Congress, the NCP, the DMK, the Samajwadi Party, the left parties, the RJD, the Aam Aadmi Party walked out of Rajya Sabha in protest over suspension of 12 MPs. TMC, however, did not walk out. Eventually, the upper house was adjourned for the day at 2:20 p.m. following the continued uproar by members. And for more on that story, I'm joined by my colleague Vishal Baristo, who joins us from the Parliament. Vishal, the House Rajya Sabha, we saw the chairman bring up this issue, saying both the chairman and the House are empowered to take action. The MPs haven't expressed remorse. And then later, the leader of the House, Piyush Goyal, when he was speaking, he said that, you see, this whole argument about it was a last session, whatever happened has gone away. Well, action needs to be taken because some sense of discipline needs to be imposed. So how's that cutting ice with the other members?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Amrit. Let me make it very clear that the chairman has said it, that no remorse expressed and no revocation is very, very clear. He wants apology from the suspended members, or they will not be allowed to attend the proceedings of the upper house. And there are 12 MPs from 5 different parties, including Congress, Samajwadi Party and Aam Aadmi Party. Yes, the suspended MPs, they are still sticking to their views that it happened in the last session. It was 11th of August, which was the last day of the monsoon session. But as you heard the chairman saying, and also the leader of the House saying it very clearly, that it's a continuous process, and a motion was moved against these MPs for their violent and unruly behavior, and it was under Rule 256 of the business conduct of Rajya Sabha that they have been suspended, and the chairman has all the right. So the opposition parties are still sticking to the demand that we are all honorable members of the House, and we cannot be forced for an apology. We were just trying to express ourselves, but the government and also the chairman has said it very clearly that the electronic evidences available against the violent and unruly behavior, and that was belittling the repute of the upper house, of the August House. That is why the decision cannot be revoked unless they express the apology. And Piyush Goyal also went up to the extent of saying that an apology is also due against the nation, because after all, this is a parliament and you are not expected of such kind of behavior. Amrit?
Vishal, very interestingly, when the chairman spoke, and when the walkout happened, the Congress, the NCP, the Aam Aadmi Party, the RJD, the other opposition parties were together. TMC did not walk out. How is that being seen?
Well, that sounds very interesting, because when the Congress leaders from the Lok Sabha, they were addressing the media, they said that we have all decided to walk out of the lower house, that is Lok Sabha. But interestingly, the TMC is not with them. Maybe they will join us later. But this is what they have said. But this makes it very clear that all is not well within the house of the opposition, because they are still a divided house, because the TMC is not with them, neither in the lower house nor in the upper house. So that says it very clearly, and that says volumes, because the way leaders from Congress, they've been joining the TMC in the northeast, says it very clear that the relations are quite strained between Congress and TMC. So yes, very well expressed by the TMC in Parliament as well.
All right, Vishal, we'll leave it there. Many thanks for joining us and giving us that update from the Parliament. And moving on, Twitter's new Indian-American CEO Parag Agrawal took to his Twitter account to share the news and expressed his gratitude to Jack Dorsey and team. Parag Agrawal wrote, and I quote, "Deep gratitude for Jack Dorsey and our entire team, and so much excitement for future. Here's the note I sent to the company. Thank you all for your trust and support." And in the letter to Twitter, employees Parag Agrawal wrote, and I quote him, "Our purpose has never been more important. Our people and our culture are unlike anything in the world. There is no limit to what we can do together." Unquote. And he said, we recently updated our strategy to hit out at ambitious goals, but our critical challenge is how we work to execute and deliver results. That's how we'll make Twitter the best it can be for our customers and shareholders, and for each of you. I want you to love where you work and also love how we work together for the greatest possible impact. I recognize that some of you know me well, some just a little, and some not at all. Let's consider ourselves at the beginning, the first step towards our future. I'm sure you have lots of questions and there's a lot for us to discuss. At the all hands tomorrow, we'll have lots of time for Q&A and discussion. It will be the beginning of an ongoing, open, direct conversations I wish for us to have together. The world is watching right now even more than they have been before. Lots of people are going to have lots of different views and opinions about today's news. It's because they care about Twitter and our future, and it's a signal that the work we do here matters. Let's show the world Twitter's full potential. So this is what Parag Agrawal wrote to his employees, basically saying that now he takes over and his approach is to value the people of Twitter and to take it to the next level. Well, in Midday Prime, it's now time for news and updates from the world of business. And for the business news, my colleague Tanvi Taneja now joins me from the newsroom. Tanvi, tell us what's making news in the world of business.
Thank you, Amrit. Let's start with Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Tuesday saying that the risk of cryptocurrency going in the wrong hands is being monitored by the government, and the previous bill on cryptocurrencies has been reworked. The minister also stated that as of now there has been no decision to stop advertisements of digital currencies, but investors have been cautioned. Ms. Sitharaman also said that there were extensive discussion on the regulatory capacity of cryptocurrencies and added that let's wait for the bill. Sitharaman made these remarks during the question hour in the Rajya Sabha today.
The issues pertaining to regulatory capacities and also the fact that it has proliferated in the last 2-3 years are well taken note of, and I can only go that far to say we've had extensive discussions on this.
Earlier on Monday, Sitharaman, responding to a question in the Lok Sabha, had said that the centre has no proposal to recognize Bitcoin as a currency in the country. She also mentioned that the government does not collect data on Bitcoin transactions. The development comes as the government plans to introduce the reworked Cryptocurrency and Regulation of Official Digital Currency Bill 2021 in the ongoing winter session of Parliament. And now let's talk about the stock markets. After a firm opening, the domestic stock markets have turned slightly volatile on Tuesday. So after swinging between positive and negative zones, the Sensex at the BSE had gained 255 points or 0.5% to 57,516 in afternoon deals a short while ago. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange had added 64 points or 0.4% to 17,118. In the broader market, the BSE Mid-Cap Index had jumped 1.1% and the Small Cap Index had surged 1.7%. The top index gainers on the BSE today are Power Grid Corporation, Nestle, Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Finance, with gains of between 1.9 and 2.9%. The top index losers are Tata Steel, Kotak Mahindra, Adani Ports and Coal India, with losses of between 1.5 and 1.9%. Meanwhile, the Rakesh Jhunjhunwala-backed Star Health and Allied Insurance Company's initial public offer IPO had been subscribed 5% so far on Tuesday, the first day of bidding. Star Health's IPO will close for subscription on December the 2nd. Meanwhile, other key Asian stock markets have mostly lost ground on Tuesday, with investors cautious about the impact Omicron could have in disrupting trade, travel and economic activity. So Japan's Nikkei 225 index was down 1.6%. South Korea's Kospi had slumped 2.4%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index had plunged 1.7%, and China's Shanghai Composite Index was trading flat. But some relief coming there from US President Joe Biden, who says that lockdowns for the moment are off the table. Back to you, Amrit.
Well, thank you, Tanvi, for that. Thank you very much. And now let's take a look at what's making news across the globe. Barbados. At the strike of Monday midnight, the new republic Barbados was born to the cheers of hundreds of people lining up the Chamberlain Bridge in its capital town, Bridgetown.
And with firm resolve and in one voice, from this day and forever, declare Barbados a parliamentary republic.
Barbados removed Britain's Queen Elizabeth as its head of state and became a republic, with its first ever president and severing ties. Its last remaining colonial bonds nearly 400 years after the first English ships arrived at the Caribbean islands. A 21-gun salute fired as the national anthem of Barbados was played over a crowded Heroes Square. President-elect Sandra Mason, speaking on the occasion, said the people of Barbados must give Republic Barbados its spirit and its substance. Heir to the British throne, Prince Charles stood soberly as Queen Elizabeth's royal standard was lowered and the new Barbados declared, a step which Republicans hope will spur discussion of similar proposals in other former British colonies that have Queen as their sovereign. Prince Charles gave a speech highlighting the continuing friendship of the two nations despite the change in the constitutional status. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Latvia's capital Riga late on Monday before a meeting on Tuesday with 29 NATO counterparts as the alliance expresses alarm over a Russian military buildup on Ukraine's borders. NATO's chief visited allied troops in the Baltic country of Latvia as Latvian Defense Minister Artis Pabriks said on Monday his country needs a permanent U.S. military presence to deter Russia and wants to boost its defense with the U.S. Patriot missiles. Prompted by Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and Moscow's support for separatists in eastern Ukraine, NATO has deployed 4 multinational battalion-sized battle groups to defend Poland and the Baltic states of Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia since July 2017. Moscow says it has no intention of invading the Baltics or Poland and accuses NATO of destabilizing Europe by moving troops closer to Russia's borders. European, Iranian and Russian diplomats sounded upbeat as Iran and the world powers held their first talks in 5 months in Vienna on Monday to try and save the 2015 nuclear deal. The meeting in Vienna ended along hiatus triggered by elections in June of Ibrahim Raisi, an anti-Western hardliner. The talks are effectively indirect negotiations between Tehran and Washington, with other officials shuttling between them. The Islamic Republic's top negotiator Ali Bagheri Khani demanded the removal of all US and European Union sanctions imposed since 2017. He said that the United States and its Western allies should offer guarantees that no new sanctions would be imposed in the future. 1 in 3 people working in Australia's parliament have experienced sexual harassment, a report published on Tuesday said, following an independent inquiry into parliamentary workplace culture. The review detailed widespread improper behavior and found that more than half of the people who responded had experienced at least one incident of sexual harassment, bullying or actual or attempted sexual assault. Prime Minister Scott Morrison, who ordered the review in February after his party came under pressure over its handling of an alleged rape inside the building, said at a news conference in Canberra that findings were appalling and disturbing. Morrison is under pressure to address parliamentary culture ahead of an election due in the first half of the next year. And now it's time for stories from the world of sports. And for that, I'm joined by my colleague Deepika to give us a sense of what's happening in the world of sports. Deepika, over to you.
Good afternoon, Amritpal. Let's quickly take a look at all what is happening in the world of sports. To start with squash and the latest update, top-seeded team India beat Iraq by 3-0 in group stage match at the ongoing Asian Team Squash Championships. Indian men are grouped in Pool A with Pakistan, Japan, Philippines, Indonesia and Iraq at the championships, which will go on till the 4th of December in Malaysia. And on the other hand, Indian women's team too won the first group stage match, defeating Philippines by 3-0. And moving on from here, Indian tennis player Ramkumar Ramanathan will face Louis Wessels in the first round of the Antalya 3 Challenger event. Earlier on Sunday, Ramkumar won his maiden singles title at the ATP Challenger tournament in Bahrain on Sunday, and Ramkumar will now aim to continue the graph of winning consistency. With the latest title win, Ramkumar Ramanathan will also enter into the top 200. And moving on from here, Lionel Messi won the men's Ballon d'Or for a record-extending 7th time at a ceremony in Paris on Monday. Messi won the last edition of the Ballon d'Or in 2019, and before last year's awards that were cancelled due to the pandemic, Messi bagged the award in the 2009, 2010, 11, 12 and the 15th edition of Ballon d'Or Awards. The 34-year-old scored 38 goals in 48 games last season for Barcelona and won the Copa del Rey before captaining Argentina to Copa America glory in July. That was the first major international title of his glittering career, which had been spent entirely with Barcelona before his tearful departure from the Camp Nou in August and subsequent move to Paris Saint-Germain. And in football, Manchester United announces Rolf Rangnick as the club's interim manager until the end of the season. The appointment of the 63-year-old German, followed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's dismissal earlier this month following a 3-year spell as manager in which the club did not win a trophy. Well, following his 6-month-long spell in charge, Rangnick will continue in a consultancy role at the club for a further 2 years, while he will also take the reins for now, with United 8th in the Premier League and 12 points off the lead. A permanent manager is still being sought for the team. And that's all for now from the world of sports. Amritpal.
Thank you, Deepika, for that. And now it's time for our next segment, Live Prime, where we bring you stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, science and innovation. Stories that bring smiles, or are bringing smiles, stories that are changing lives. The White House on Monday unveiled this year's Christmas decorations based on the theme Gifts from the Heart. The official White House Christmas tree in the Blue Room celebrates the gift of peace and unity. It features paper doves that carry a banner with the names of each state and territory of the United States. This year marks the first White House Christmas for the Bidens since taking office. This year, the traditional White House gingerbread house in the state dining room, including additional buildings that honored our frontline workers and first responders for their contributions towards the coronavirus pandemic. The buildings included replicas of a grocery store, a post office, a hospital and a police station. And U.S. First Lady Jill Biden helped mark the start of Christmas holiday season on Monday by reading a children's book she had written to help little ones understand what it feels like to grow up in a military family. The First Lady wished a Merry Christmas to the children, who were then treated with a brief holiday musical performance with puppets.
Daddy, my my brave daddy. Her dad laughs. No, 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 it's you, my little Natalie.
And that's it then in Midday Prime. Thanks for watching. All right, okay, let's tell you about South Korea. South Korea's K-pop sensation BTS held their first in-person concerts recently at the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood and drew thousands of fans in Los Angeles. And before we end the Midday Prime, we'll leave you with beautiful performance in the musical Retreat.